Nah, man, come on, man. I stand on stages for a living.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
I have to do that type of stuff. So I'm not.
saying? That's
I don't get
complicated.
scared. Yeah. Now I will admit my old age sometimes does get the better of me, and I'll be like,
Mhm.
I feel like my mom and them back in the day. Can you come in here and set this alarm clock for me? I'll be like,
Can
what
you
do you mean?
what was
What do
that
you mean
button
live
again?
streaming? What are we doing? What are we doing again? No, but it's good, man. But it's good to be here with you, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate you asking me to do this.
Yeah, of course, man. It's just, man, we going oh, actually, let me see. We live everywhere. We live in effect. We live in effect on this beautiful
On the
Thursday
blue
night.
marble. We're on the
Yeah,
blue
on the
marble,
blue
baby.
marble floating
Spinning through
around
the darkness. Spinning through the
and
darkness.
spinning in dark matter,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Dark matter. Yeah, man. This is another episode this is the Melinated Music episode
That's
edition.
right. All
Okay.
day. All day.
Um
Like this.
and
Melanated all day.
tonight I have a very special guest. And I'm very happy to finally get the good brother on here. But before I do that, let me go ahead and, if you haven't already, please go to polkadot.rabbitpodcast.com. Check out this book because this brother and some of the other brothers we talk about is in the book. I talk about them briefly, about their influence on me in my evolution is doing music and other things. Um, as you know, always Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. We are here to uplift humanity. Humanity. We're up here to, share with people in music. Life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All this good stuff. That's what we're here to do, man. Um, one of the things we're here to do. Now, y'all know me. I already talked about me. Now I'm gonna go ahead and introduce my man, T, as I like to call him. Other cats might know him as Anthony, but I'm like
Word,
to
word,
let him
word.
go as T.
No,
But go ahead, T.
always,
Tell him
T,
who you are,
always.
what you got going on.
Uh, man, appreciate you. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me come on your spot, Zos, and just talk to the world, talk to you people, and just kind of explain what I've done and who I am a little bit. Like you said, you call me T. Some other people call me Ant. Um, Boys back home might call me Dick Gregory. But my name's Anthony Gregory. I'm from, from around the way, down here in Virginia somewhere. Um, I'm just a regular dude, man, who was able to parlay a little bit of talent and some drive and go around the world. I haven't gone around the world yet playing music as far as like being on the stages, um, putting my art form out there, but I've been able to support some really good acts going out as a stage manager and a guitar tech and things of that nature. And actually, when I was younger, I'm kind of lying. I did get a little chance to float around a lot on the reggae scene.
Mm,
When I was super young, I'm talking 19, 20, maybe 21.
mm.
Um, I got a really good opportunity. I ran into a brother here in Richmond, Virginia, by the name of Rosmel. Shout out Rosmel, man. That's some that's some respect right there. And that brother took a chance on me, man. He's knew that I played bass through a cat named Charlie Brown. You remember Charlie Brown, don't you,
Hmm.
Zo?
The
Yeah,
drummer?
from Uniquus. Nah, from Uniquus. He owned the store Uniquus, and then
Oh yeah, yeah,
Charlie
yeah, yeah.
Brown
Okay,
also had
okay.
like the carts and the shops and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. I know, yeah.
Charlie
I'm
Brown been
thinking about old
speaking
boy
Richmond
the
forever.
drummer, that dad was
Oh,
Chuck.
oh, you
That's
think
the,
about Chuck Treese? Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, oof, great day. No, man, but through Charlie, Rosmel found that I played bass. And okay, so let's just start at the beginning. So I guess my senior year of high school, I'm at Thomas Dale. I had met some brothers. Yeah, that's how I said Thomas Dale. So I met some brothers the previous summer at Hopewell because a brother had to go to summer school. So I met some brothers in Hopewell who were doing a reggae group and they needed a bass player. And these were all they was all young cats like me, 17,
hmm
18, 19 is the oldest. Um, so I started playing with them and we started coming to Richmond. This gotta be 89, 88, 89. And we were going to this club called what was that club called? I knew I was gonna brain fart on this thinking about it earlier. Um, dude. Okay, so you know the corner of Harrison and Broad Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's like a little parking lot. Oh, it's called New Horizons. It
Okay.
was called New Horizons, and it was right there at the corner of Harrison and Grace. I mean Harrison and Broad Street, which is a parking lot now. But it was this building. It was 2 stories, and you had to go up these rickety stairs to get to the club, which was upstairs. And that was my dude. That was my first dose of like nightlife in Richmond,
Mm.
seeing a live band. And one of the first live bands I ever saw in Richmond was Awareness Art Ensemble.
AE.
AAE. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh,
And
you take me back
AAE.
now, bro.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, man. Just like, I mean, and come on, man. I'm talking 88, 89. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so AAE, they're killing it. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
just the a reggae staple up and down the East Coast at that time. So, you know, I was creeping up there. I was watching the shows, you know, just involving myself, but you know, kind of back in the corner because I was still young. I was green. I didn't want to, you know, dive in too much. I was like, what the hell is all this going on around here? Beef
Mm-hmm.
patties and ginger beer and everything. You know, come on, man, I'm from Chester. I didn't know nothing about that. So I just, you know, we got a chance to go up there and see some things, and then we actually got a chance to play up there.
Mm-hmm.
And we this young reggae band, man, and you know, I'm learning reggae from them, and you know, going to the record store and getting Inner Circle and Bob
Mm-hmm.
Marley and
Mm-hmm.
Steel Pulse. I mean, just
Mm.
anything I get my hands on at the time to kind of embrace and envelop myself in the culture. So it was beautiful, man, and I think that's how I ended up meeting Charlie because he had like this little he had a stand downstairs where he would serve like um I don't even know if you know how they had beef patties now, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually beef inside of where he was making
Mm-hmm.
these things called beef patties back in the day, but it wasn't beef, it was chickpeas. It
Mm-hmm.
was like falafel. And he
Mm-hmm.
was put, dude, oh, what? You get one of those, man? It was great. All right, so anyway, but through Charlie, I ended up meeting Rosmel, and Rosmel just kind of he was breaking away from AAE, and he was like, "Yo, I need a bass player," and I was young, and I was crazy enough to say yes to this dude. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew my skills were not, you know, come on, man. Chuck X was his bass player for
Mm-hmm.
AAE. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
man. There's no standing up or even stepping into those shoes. So I just allowed Rosmel to mold me, man,
Mm-hmm.
and show me every trick of the trade and delve into that scene as hard as possible, man. And it was beautiful, man. It really
Yeah.
was. It gave me an ability to learn something that I had never been a part of before. Like I said, man, come on, I'm from Chester. You know, most I had learned was watching Hee Haw and Dance Fever and maybe some Yo MTV raps by the time
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
getting
yeah,
out of
yeah,
high
yeah,
school.
yeah.
You
Especially back
know,
then too. Yeah.
yeah, but I had never um like one of my only live shows by that time, I had gone to see Prince.
Mm-hmm.
No, and by that time, honestly, I'm lying. I had seen Prince twice, and you know that's my
Mm-hmm.
dude. Come on, Zoe, you
Mm-hmm.
know me. That's
Mm-hmm.
my guy.
Mm-hmm.
So so it was just different for me, man. It was great. It
Yeah.
opened my eyes in a way that had not been open before, and I don't think I ever turned around.
You
What?
know, I need to tell the backstory about me and T because see,
Oh.
T, see T, and everybody that knows about my music I did, you know what I'm saying? They know about independent the band I was doing. But see, when I was all doing that, and I talk about this in the book as well. But when I was getting that group, getting that moving, I met T and George, or Cheese. I met these cats and Joseph, I should say. I got to put
Yes,
Joseph in there.
yes, yes. Come on, man.
So,
Chuck.
at that time, you know what I'm saying, I was the lone black dude at the shows in the band, you know what I'm saying? So it was no Afro punk back then, you know what I'm saying? It was no, you know what I'm saying, all that stuff.
Nah,
So,
none of
you
that.
just out there like that, man. So, so I I can't remember exactly when we met, but I can't remember. I can't remember when we met for the first time. It was downtown somewhere in Richmond. But these cats just introduced all those three people. I'm gonna say specifically, Cheese, T, and Joseph. They introduced me to everything from being I was like the young black dude out in suburbia slash the country that didn't have any other black rockers to mess with, or any, it was just me.
Yeah,
I met
bro.
these cats, man, and they were telling me, they were like, "No, you gotta go listen to this band. You gotta go listen to the Fishbone. You gotta
Yeah,
listen to the Steel
yeah.
Pulse. You gotta go listen to
you
this, and
gotta you gotta
you
listen to the
gotta, what I'm saying,
24/7
you gotta
spies.
listen to 24/7 Spy. See,
Yes,
these are the
sir.
cats. Truth be told, these are the cats that really started me on my getting knowledge behind the whole black rock aspect, and but also just life, man, because I was what, 19, maybe 20 year old. So T used to
Yeah,
always say,
yeah,
you
yeah.
would have, so was the baby of the group. That's what T
Yep,
used to always
yep,
say.
yep. Because
But
I was. It was me until
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
it was
you.
you until I
Yeah,
came,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And but they would tell me stuff about, just life and girls, relationships, you know what I'm saying? Because they were older. I'm sitting there like, dang, I didn't know, this was like, but I had big brothers, literally. That's what they were to me, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah, yeah.
we just, what I'm saying, they actually, as y'all know, a lot of y'all know, when I went to London, Cheese and T are the ones that were like, they were literally like, "So you need to go to London." And I'm like, oh, back then it was Yusuf. Remember, they know me
Yeah,
Yusuf
yeah,
back
yeah.
then.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they were like,
Because
"Yeah, Yusuf,
you gotta
man.
leave, man. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
leave and spread your wings enough to
exactly."
understand that you can fly. Because
T,
if
T
you sit in that nest all your life, man,
Yeah, exactly,
what you gonna
exactly.
do? You know?
And that's what Cheese was just like. So he was like, "Yusuf, man, you gotta go. You just go to London." So I either was going to go to school up in Charlottesville, or I was going to go, and I was waiting for an apartment to fall through. So if the apartment didn't fall through, I took all that money I saved. The apartment fell through, and I said, "All right, I'm going to London."
Word.
So just because of these brothers, man, they were like Cheese, and they were like, "You got to go, you got to go." I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go." So that's actually one of the reasons why, because they were over there for a hot minute, you know what I'm saying, and they would tell me all their stories and stuff. But they are the ones. This brother right here, Joseph, and Cheese, and some other brothers that I see that chime in. You know what I'm saying, on a different path and different time. But they are the ones that really help cultivate me as like really a musician. And also
Hmm.
as a young black man. In all
Oh,
honesty,
damn,
you know what I'm
man.
saying.
That's
You know what I'm
that's
saying.
that's deep, man, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
That's a
You
deep
know how it is,
compliment,
man.
man. No, that's a
Yeah,
deep
man.
compliment, man.
Yeah, man. They.
But Zoza, what that was, man, honestly, was it was George's and I's lack of having that, if you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying. Because when
Mhm.
we were coming up, man, in order to express that side of us, that rock side of us, we didn't have any big brothers.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
big brothers were Rosmel from
Yeah.
from the reggae set, and then Khalil Jahi and Chris Gore from the Good Guys. Shout
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
Khalil Jahi and the Good Guys and Chris Gore. Come on, man,
Mhm.
Harry
Mhm.
Gore and them. That's a staple in Richmond. Those were our big brothers, but we didn't have that. When we looked at the brains, when we looked at the bone, when we looked at Living Color, uh, a band called Death. When we looked at
Mhm.
any of those types of cats, Mother's Finest, we didn't
Mhm.
have those big brothers. So when we met you, it was it was almost like I ain't even trying. I know this might sound crazy, but it was always like, no, you can't mess with him.
Mhm.
This little homie, this little brother. We got to give him the thing we didn't have.
Mhm.
And that's why we just kind of pulled on you like that, man. Like, nah, bro, these
Mhm.
are the things you got to do. Um, it was it felt like we were passing that torch.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
keeping it
Yeah.
alive. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
that's what that was for me, man. And you know what that is, man. When you show up at the party and you see somebody who you know is you, what do you
Yeah.
want to do? You want
Exactly.
to walk up on and be like, yeah, 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 let's get it in, let's get it in. So that's what it
That.
was with you, man. We saw you and we was like, and I think honestly, Zoza, was the first time we met, was it out at that show at that school out in
Oh, the
South
St.
Side?
Edwards.
Yes.
That's it.
I
St.
really want to
Edwards.
say that's where it was, man. That was the first time I met you, man.
Oh,
Was
that's
at
right.
that show at that school.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because I remember I was talking to Cheese. I was like, I told Cheese, I said, you don't gotta walk. He was riding, trying to sell the CDs and stuff. I said, you don't gotta.
Yep.
I said, you don't gotta sit around walking like crazy. Get a table, set up, and sell them. He started laughing at me, and it was,
Bro, and see, and that's the business, man. You got to try to do
yeah,
the business,
yeah,
at least you got to try
hmm
to do it. But that was, dude, think of how long. I shouldn't say that. It's beautiful that that was so long ago. You know
hmm
what I'm saying? That it just
hmm
proves to me that family is not always who your blood related to.
yeah, that's true, man.
You're
Hmm
my family, brother, and
hmm
that's what that's always gonna be. And our
Yeah,
connection started um from a likeness of a love of the same type of music and the fact that we were walking the same path, and it just grew into this brotherhood of not just music but life and love and the journey of from the beginning to the end, because
the
we
truth
got
be
to
told is, yeah, truth be told is, ever since I left to Atlanta in '99, almost, I would say, the vast majority of the time when I was coming back and forth, I was always hitting y'all up.
Oh yeah, we
We
never
were
lost the
always,
contact. Come on,
yeah, we
man.
were
We never
all. I
did
mean,
that.
like, yeah, I mean, I used to, I say those Joseph counts about 20 times. You know what I'm saying? And over your
Yeah,
crib too.
no,
Over your
that's
crib too. You
yeah,
know what I'm
no,
saying? So
that was the
we
awesome
never
thing.
lost a connection, and that's one of the few. You one of the few cats, y'all one of the few cats in Richmond that I ever really stayed connected with. In all honesty, like that at least. But
No, that's
so okay, so I got some questions for you now, man.
yeah,
You know
man.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yes.
So you talk about Fishbone, the Bad Brains, etc. So how did you get introduced to, the Spies and Bad Brains and Fishbone, all the Black
So
Rockers?
that's some to keep it absolutely 100. I was that kid in high school who was a little too melanated for the unmelanated, and
Mm-hmm.
too
Join the
unmelanated for the
club.
melanated.
Join the club.
I was I I had a love of music, man, that was I couldn't even explain it really. So
Mm-hmm.
um as you already know, because we've had this conversation many times, my idol was Prince. So
Mm-hmm.
I think what it was growing up and listening to Prince, especially those early albums, the For You, Prince, um, Controversy, all of those albums were so eclectic. It wasn't just what you consider pop or
Mm-hmm.
R&B. It was everything. He would have a song on an album that was a funk song, but then there was a song that
Mm-hmm.
was more like a punk song
Mm-hmm.
and or a rock song, and there was a
Mm-hmm.
ballad on the song. And then his band was eclectic. There were men, there were women, there were black
Mm-hmm.
people, there were white people. Um,
Yeah.
and at that same time, I guess MTV is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching MTV premiere on air. So I
Yeah.
remember
I
that,
remember that.
Video Kill the Radio Star being the
Yeah.
first joint. I remember all of it, man. And I remember the first time I saw the Bone.
Mm-hmm.
The Bone was one of the first black alternative groups that I had ever seen. And it was When Problems Arise.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, dude, it was late at night, and you fall asleep with the TV on, you wake up, and you're like, "Oh my God, what's that?" So I woke up, and all I remember was looking at the screen, and it was white, and I remember these brothers being on there, and Fish is playing that set with the cymbals sitting up all high,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, and they just crushing it. I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, man, there was no internet to go to or nothing like that. So you had to go to the record store. So I just remember seeing Fishbone at the end of the little video, and I just went to the record store, man, and
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed the album and I was listening to it, and that was probably the first, like one of the first things I really dove into. That was that hard besides Prince, because
Mm-hmm.
for me up until then it was Prince, 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 Prince. You know,
Yeah.
I was listening, of course, like Stevie Wonder and some hip hop here and there, but it was Prince, Prince,
Mm-hmm.
Prince, Prince. So by the time I hear them, man, I'm like, oh my gracious. And then a friend of mine, um, around the same time had introduced me to like some Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
I had two uncles who went, who were in Vietnam and stuff, and they were very eclectic with their music. I had
Mm-hmm.
an uncle who was like in the Def Leppard real heavy. So I was
Mm-hmm.
just getting all of these different influences coming at me, man.
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
mom and dad, of course, they're really deep into like jazz and R&B and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that fishbone, man, that problems arise. When problems
Mm-hmm.
arise, just did it for me. And then the very
Mm-hmm.
next thing I remember was was being at the record store and a dude asking me if I knew anything about the Bad Brains. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, nah, who's that? And it was over. It was over, man. It was over
Yeah.
for me.
The record
That's
store.
yeah, that's probably yeah. See, listen to that, man. The
I know
record
at the
store.
record store. You like
Yeah,
what?
like you
What is
you,
that?
you ask a kid what the record store is now, they like, I don't know. The hell you talking about the record store? So, but bro, that's what it was. It was. See, I was already kind of on the outside because I was such a big Prince fan, and
Mm-hmm.
all of my peers were kind of, hip hop was coming in and being real big and all that type of stuff, and I liked hip hop, but I was a nerd, man. I played the oboe, I played the saxophone. I
I
like.
played the oboe too.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I
Now,
did.
see, that's funny. So I did not know you were
Yeah, I played the oboe, man, for like 2 years.
um.
Right
So
next to right next to a clarinet, right? And
I
the orchestra
like, yeah, yep.
and the
In the
flute.
lineup, yes, of course.
Yep.
But I like musicians, man. So of course, Prince was my thing. But then, like I said, man, Bad Brains, the Living Color. Um, Dude, my story about Living Color is crazy because I woke up one morning and I had this riff in my head, and I was like, "Oh my God, I wrote the most incredible riff ever in life," you know. And I was playing the riff on my bass, and I was like, "Oh my gracious, this is gonna be amazing!" I came home from school that day, and I was sitting there and watching MTV, and Cult of Personality came on, and that riff came on, and I think what had happened was I fell asleep and the damn song was playing
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
middle of the
yeah,
night.
yeah.
And I woke up and I
Your
was like, oh, I got
subconscious,
this
your
riff in my head.
subconscious,
Yeah.
your
My
subconscious
subconscious
ripped
just took
off
it in.
Vernon Reed, right?
Yeah. Oh, it just ripped him off hard. And then when I realized they won't mine, I was like, oh, damn, I can't come
Damn.
up with that. But brother, it was that. It was
Yeah,
finding records in my father's collection that, like the first time I ever heard any reggae was going through my father's records,
yeah.
and finding the Exodus album by Bob. And
Mm,
I just love music, man. It could have been Spiral Gyro, it could have been the old Jackson 5, it could have been
mm-hmm,
anybody. I
mm-hmm,
just loved music. And then when I did see those brothers doing that thing and it just sucked me in, it was honestly, man, like a magnet that I couldn't get away
mm-hmm,
from.
mm-hmm,
It was aggression. It was it was speaking a lot of truth to light. They were saying a lot of things that
mm-hmm,
I was, oblivious to being from Chester,
mm-hmm.
and to
Yeah,
hear
yeah, yeah,
them
yeah, yeah.
speaking in that way, it really just attracted me and I never turned away from it. And then to realize as you start to do your studying that, well, wait a minute, why aren't there more people like us
Mm-hmm,
who do this style of music? And
mm-hmm.
then the funny thing is, it's not until I'm listening to them that I get into Hendrix real heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's after that. It's after me finding the Bone and Bad Brains and all of
Mm-hmm.
them that I go back and I find
Yeah,
Hendrix, and I'm like, oh my God, what's
yeah,
this?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
finding Hendrix, Band of Gypsies. What can you say? You know,
yeah.
there's nothing else to be said. And then honestly, you were speaking on Cheese earlier. That brother introduced me to 24/7 Spies when we was going to
Mm.
New York one time.
Mm-hmm.
We was going up to New York to do something, and he was like, "Yo, you gotta listen to this band called 24/7 Spas," and I was like, "Who was that?" And he, man, what? I was like, "What is this? This shit is amazing." And once
Jimmy Hayes.
again, the magnet pulled me in even deeper. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
it was watching these brothers with these voices that reminded me of Chuck D. That
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of Brother Jay from, X Clan. That reminded me
Yeah.
of KRS-One. That reminded
Mm-hmm.
me of Rakim in the things that they were saying. But it was the aggression. It was the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
at it. That
Mm-hmm.
really had me there. And then, come on, man. What is the? A lot of people will give it to Run DMC and Aerosmith and say, that was the
Mm-hmm.
first real rap rock song, and it was. You can
Mm-hmm.
say it really was. But for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
you know what it was. You know what it was. Those. It was Anthrax,
Anthrax. Yeah.
Public Enemy, Bring the Noise,
Bring the
man.
noise. Yeah.
Come on, man. That cemented what the rest of my life was gonna be.
That.
Um,
Yeah.
that's
I
it.
can see that. I
That's
can
it.
see because the music was just straight up thrash,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Chuck
yeah.
D kind of molded his. He just
Like
sped
a
up his
southern
lyrics.
preacher
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
over
He
the
was
top, just
speeding
giving
it to
this
the
sermon,
music.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yo,
Yeah. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
is this
Yeah.
cat, man? And that was all it took for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Those that line of events, being a musician, loving Prince, being introduced to these things, and having to search for them. Because when problems arise on MTV in the middle of the night, that's not something that's on heavy rotation.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
You
that's a
know,
yeah.
you got to go
They might have
looking for
that might
that
have been
again.
once a month
Yeah,
on
yeah.
an MTV rotation. Problems around Fishbone.
And then that leads me into, because I'm looking for it now. Headbangers Ball. I'm doing
Yeah.
anything to try to find it.
Mhm.
And what the funny thing is, watching Headbangers Ball, who do I end up finding? The Bad
Mm.
Brains.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I can see
So
that.
it was divine, if you ask me, man, because it was
Hmm.
just the universe saying, "Here, I'm gonna give you these nuggets a little bit at
Yeah.
a time, and
Yeah.
it's gonna push you over here." Because it, if you really think about it, it's funny to me because I was so heavy into like harder music by the time I'm graduating from high school. But I'm also getting into like De La and A Tribe Called Quest and the
Oh yeah,
Native
yeah,
Tongues
yeah,
and all that type of stuff. And it just kind of led me into reggae, which, dude, come on, man. How were you? I was 20 years old, man, and I was able to learn from some of the best.
yeah. Hmm.
Rosmel, I don't know if cats know who Rosmel is, man, but look that cat up. One of the best guitar players I've ever seen in my life, man. In my life,
Uh,
he's a guitar player for the Wailers. He's
yeah.
amazing, amazing. Shout out Rosmel all the time. But he was able to introduce me to people. Drummy Zeb from Razor
Hmm.
Posse. I was able to
Hmm.
play
Oh
with
yeah,
him
Razor
too.
Posse. I remember that.
Yeah,
Damn.
come on, man. That's
Woof.
Peanut.
I'm going back in time right now, man.
Yeah,
God
man. That's
damn.
that's Peanut. Peanut's been all over the reggae circuit, man. That's
Hmm.
that's Papa Robbie from down in South Carolina.
Hmm.
That's Daddy Robbie. That's Victor Lowe. Man, it was just it was a force of musicians, man, that when we got together, it was really beautiful, man, because once again, I'm this kid from Chester playing this music from the islands, but I'm able to meet some of the godfathers, man.
Yeah.
Um I am meeting what's dudes, oh my gracious, Derek Barnett from the Sagittarius band, one of the baddest bass playing dudes on the reggae scene ever. I'm getting to play with Steel Pulse. I'm getting to
Mm.
play with Inner Circle. I'm getting, dude, I mean monsters and
Yeah.
legends, and I'm just sucking it in like a sponge.
S-
Um,
So, so what was your first rock band to play you playing
my
bass
first
in?
rock band that I played
Yeah.
in,
Uh,
shit, man, Three Fifths Compromise, man.
oh, that's right. Okay, so that was the
Yeah,
first one.
yeah. Come on,
Oh,
man.
okay.
Me and George, so George was playing in Harlem Yacht Club,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually met Bubby first. you know Bubby.
Yeah. Mark,
Yeah, so yeah. So I meet
I
Bubby
just talked to him a
first.
couple months ago, actually.
Oh, for real? He doing good? He doing
I
good?
still, yeah. He's
Okay, word.
last time he was, yeah, he's doing good.
So I meet Bubby, and through meeting Bubby, I end up at a Harlem Yacht Club practice, and they
Mm-hmm.
got Dave. They had
Mm-hmm.
big tall Dave on vocals,
Mm-hmm.
and Dave was a good dude, man. But I don't think it was quite what they were looking for, what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I would kind of sneak on the side once Dave left, and I'd be jump on the mic and do a little something here and there. And I remember that one night, we were at Twisters. Shout out Twisters.
Shout out to Twisters.
Oh, Gray Street used to be nasty, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're at Twisters one night and they're playing, and we had worked up a version of Bring the Noise by Public
Mm-hmm.
Enemy. And I jumped on that microphone, man. And you remember how Twisters used to be? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
especially back in the early 90s, man. We used to be wild with it in Twisters.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped on that mic, man, and George and them started playing wham. And them
Yeah.
kids went wild, man. And then Dingfield, you remember
Yeah, I
Dingfield?
remember that. I
Dingfield
seen a
jumped.
picture with y'all with Chief y'all recently.
Dingfield jumps up on stage and starts doing the second verse. Never better than bad, because a brother is madder than mad at the fact that's corrupt like a senator. Dude, oh what? And I'm looking at him and he looking at me, and it was that was it. And so from then, George just kind of was like, I kind of want to play guitar. And I was like, well, dude, I play bass. Let's do something.
Mm-hmm.
And we both knew Joseph, and
Mm-hmm.
Joseph had been wanting to do something. So we started Three Fifths Compromise, man. And that was probably like the first just straight ahead rock band that I played
Yeah,
in. It was me,
gotcha.
Joseph, Cheese, and this brother named Glenn on
Mm-hmm.
drums.
Oh, I remember
And that's
Glenn.
and that's how we met you. That's how we ended up meeting you. And it's
Yeah.
funny because I ended up also meeting my homeboy Rich Lidge.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Rich Lidge. Um, Through that same situation, we was playing for Propane. We was opening up for Propane
Mm-hmm.
in Richmond, in same type of situation. The brother is out there. He's by himself. He's on the rock scene. He's the fly in the buttermilk. So
Mm-hmm.
he ends up getting with me and George that night after the show. We take him out to Third Street Diner. We have a good little time, get some food in him, take him back to the tour bus. We exchange phone numbers. I've known that dude since then.
Yeah.
I've traveled the world with that dude on tours, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
All
we
right,
gotta
now,
keep it
we,
family.
yeah, we talking about your history, music. So we know you got your scholarship, you got your season when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying?
I
Now
got a little
here's
salt
my
and pepper on me. I got some salt and pepper
yeah
on me.
yeah. So here's my question though, man. And how okay, you played it in, and obviously you after that you played in Armwood, and then after Armwood, I just remember because that's probably when by the time I went to London,
Right.
and you were just like gone on the road, like on the road being the roadies,
Well,
like being a roadie.
man,
How did yeah?
so
Tell me that story, man.
so
I never even you never told me that story.
you know what, man. So that story is basically like this. Like I was just telling you. I met Rich Lidge, and he was I think Rich was guitar teching for Propane at that point. I don't think he was doing any front of house. He might have been guitar teching, but he might have been doing front of house. So I meet him, and at the end of the night, like I said, we exchange phone numbers.
Hmm.
Um, I'm playing in Armwood. Me, George Armwood, and Mark Miley.
Hmm.
We're doing that thing. We recorded that Omega Man album,
Oh yeah, I like
and
that.
we're I'm young, man. I'm trying to do the thing, and things are kind of moving but not moving. And I was immature and really didn't know the business the way I should have known the business. And I feel like if I would have been a little more business savvy, we could have moved that unit a little bit further. But around that time, Rich started calling me, and he
Hmm.
was just like yakking up. Oh man, where you at? Blah 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 blah. And he hit me one day, and he was like, "Yo, man, I need somebody to come out here on the road with me." And this was maybe 90. Wait a minute, man. Yeah, so this is around 95, 94, 95. and I go out and I do the concrete tour with Rich. And that was Greta Varga and a group from the Bronx called Shooty's Group. The funny thing about
Oh
that group,
yeah, Shooty Screw.
yeah,
Oh,
the funny thing about Shooty's Group was when we were on that tour, we were going back to New York, and at the time, I think they were living in Hell's Kitchen, but one of them was from the Bronx. And when he said he was from the Bronx, I was like, "Well, look, man, you know my aunt is up in the Bronx. I'll go up there with you." And he was like, "Well, where?" And I was like, "Catone in 180th." And the funny thing was, he was like on the back street. I think he
mm,
lived on Arthur, which was like a couple blocks down the street. So that was just crazy as hell that I'm out on the road with this dude and he basically lives
right,
behind
right
my aunt
across to
in the
your aunt.
Bronx. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I go out and I do that with Rich. And honestly, Zoza, that's when I really never looked back. You know,
Mm,
when I went out and I did that and I understood that I was good at it,
yeah.
that I had a talent for working with musicians and putting stages together and taking care of gear and, just the whole nine. I just
Mm,
wanted to do it all the time. And I've always said that I've never needed to be that guy, you know,
mm,
flossing and all that shit and being in front of the camera and all
mm,
of that. But I just want my life to be surrounded in music. And if I can pay my bills and I can be comfortable and give something back, then that's the richest life I can possibly have. And
mm,
I never looked back from that, man. And with Richie, I ended up doing that tour. I ended up doing a tour. I don't remember if you know that kid TQ. He had this song called West Side back in the day. It was like a big
mm,
tribute to Tupac. We ended up doing like a whole European run with him. And once again, I just never looked back, man.
yeah.
So that takes me all the way up into that time where you go to London,
Mm,
because like you said, I dipped out. I was out.
mm,
Um, so I dip out. I meet my future wife, and I moved to Newport News. And when I was in Newport News, in fact, when I flew back from the TQ run, I landed in Newport News. We had moved from Richmond to Newport News while
mm,
I was on that tour. And when I landed, my wife and I talked, and well, my girlfriend at the time, future wife, and I talked. And one of the things I figured I needed to do was find a way to um, big my worth up, you know.
mm,
So that's
mm.
what leads me out to Arizona
Okay.
and,
Oh yeah,
and,
that's
go,
right.
and going to Luthery school and learning how to build guitars and stuff like that. Because I was like, all right, if I'm gonna get into this world of, you know, guitar teching and all of that, I'm gonna be the best
Mm.
damn tech ever, and I'm gonna learn guitars inside out and blah 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 blah.
Still got
So,
that phone number.
huh?
Still got that phone number.
So I went out to Arizona, man. I went to Roberto Vim School of Luthery. Shout
Mm,
out to them. And that was a beautiful experience, man, learning how to build guitars and learning building your first two instruments. I built a jumbo hollow body out of Sitka spruce. No, was that no, that was myrtle back and sides and a Sitka spruce top. And then I built a 5 string bass that was kind of a Warwick copy,
mm,
you know. But it was great, man. And I just started. I felt like I was in my element, and I was working at Guitar Center when I was out there, so I was always in the element. Um, and then from there, I ended up doing Warp Tour,
mm,
because of Richie. Richie got me some Warp Tour work, and that led to some other work. And brother, I just never turned around. I just never did. I came back to Richmond in what, '06,
mm.
'07.
That sounds about right.
Um, when I came back to Richmond, I worked for a while and did some things, and then right around, I want to say maybe 2008, 2009, Richie calls me and he goes, um, I need a second on stage for this Akon gig. And I was like, Akon? And I was like, I don't know who that is, man. I ain't never heard it. You know me. Come on, man. I'm bad brains.
Mm,
At this time, what I was listening to, what's some boys from out west. Um, ah, I can't remember their name. I feel bad for doing that. But I was listening to them a lot, and I was just rocked out. So he was like, "Nah, man, Akon, just look him up." So I looked him up, and I was like, "All right, okay,
mm,
I can kind of get with it."
mm,
So I go out with I go out with Richie again. Richie's the monitor engineer at the time. I go out basically as a stage tech. I got my man Angelo on Gigolo on doing drum tech, and I'm basically taking care of bass, keyboards, the DJ, and taking care of cons. So I'm pulling like four-man duty. And we had another cat who was out on there with us. I can't really remember his name at the time. He ended up not working out, and then it ended up just being me and Angelo. And from there, man, things happen, bro, in this industry. And the thing is,
mm,
and a brother told me one time, and it was probably one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever gotten in my life. He said, you cannot wait for an artist to tour for you to eat. You got to go
mm.
out there and get every show that
Yeah,
you
keep doing
possibly
it. Yeah,
can. Yeah, and
makes
keep doing
sense.
your thing. So honestly, the funny thing about that is, so that's 2009, 2000, 2008, 2009. So it's now 2022, and I have done Better Than Ezra. I've done Akon. I ended up going out with some of my idols with Fishbone for a couple of joints. That was great, but that also taught me a huge lesson. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and and the it taught me how treacherous the business can be, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I love them brothers, and but the business part of this is, I think, something is a portion of it that they need to have a master's class in for
Mm-hmm.
everybody, because
For everybody. Yeah.
yeah, those
Hmm.
those
A few. It's I've only known really, especially us. I know back in the day like the Soul Cats, but I only know really a handful, or maybe two, of people that really overstood the music industry and really utilized it for the best of their advantage.
you
Michael
know
Jackson
what?
was one of them. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
he
Um,
yeah yeah
it
yeah.
was, I heard that Sam Cooke and them, all them pack a lot of cats back in the soul days. Once they learned the game, you know what I'm saying. But a lot of people you just don't hear that really take the time to learn the game like that, man,
Well,
and they get
because
take advantage of.
and this is the reason why, man. Because what people don't get is, what they see is this. Oh, I'm gonna put out a song,
Hmm.
and if the song catches fire, I'm gonna make all this money.
Hmm.
But what they don't understand is, well, who wrote the song? Did you write the
Exactly.
song?
Hmm.
Did somebody else write those lyrics?
Hmm.
Who's got the rights to those lyrics?
Hmm.
Because if you have the rights to them, then you have the rights to actually sell that
Hmm.
song, or lend that song to somebody and recoup the residuals from that.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, and I don't think people knew, man,
Yeah.
back in the day.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I think there's a whole lot of swindling that went on.
Of course.
Unfortunately, we've all seen the Tony Braxton interview and what
Hmm.
she said. My gracious,
Hmm.
think about what Prince said. Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Numerous times.
Yeah, come on, man. This dude is basically writing his albums in his own studio, not taking any advances from the record company, and they
Hmm.
still owned
Still
his
screwing up.
masters.
Yep.
They owned his masters, man.
Yep.
And that's the craziest thing is if you're gonna do this, it's the artistry is the easy part.
Hmm.
It really is. The artistry
Yeah.
of it is, just pouring your heart into it and putting it out there. It's the business. If you don't understand the business, dude, they'll
Yeah.
stick it in you.
Yeah, man.
They'll stick
That
it in you.
movie.
They'll turn the knife.
There's a if you watch that James Brown movie, when the one with Chadwick Boseman is playing him,
Ooh,
and there's a
gracious.
scene, yeah, there's a scene when him and the Jewish dude, the record label exec, they're just having a talk, they're going back and forth,
Yep.
and the Jewish dude, the dude, he starts dancing and stuff like that, and he's like, "What do you think of that, James?" He said, "It's terrible." He's like, "Yeah, because you do the dancing and I know the business." You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And because
Exactly.
it's two, it's two sides of it. But me personally, I read a book by Frank Zappa, one of the books that he wrote, and when I read it, I think he was pretty much saying that he learned everything about the business after he was with, I can think, the Mothers of Invention, right?
Yeah.
So after that, that Joker, him and his wife did everything to you. Everything. They switched shifts. Like one would work
Hmm.
during the day, another work one night. So all studio time they paid for themselves. All all the when they went on tour, they
Pay
set
for it
up the tours
themselves.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yo. So they would, he was killing it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And that
Because
way
he knew the
you're
business.
not in somebody's pocket. And
Exactly.
that's how they get you. And watch this, man. You know how they what they've always said. They've always said, the music business is a young man's game. Well, it's a young man's game because when they're young, you can take advantage of them. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. They don't know.
you can get a young kid to sign a silly contract or some shit like that
Hmm.
because he's not paying attention. You can't do that to a grown man.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
funny
yeah.
because all of our idols, honestly, did not learn until they were later on in their careers about the
Exactly.
actual music business
Business.
because
Yep.
they were out there doing the artistry of it. And that is a beautiful thing. But if you don't know
Yeah.
the business, you will live rich and die poor.
Yeah.
And that is just a reality.
I've read so many. I remember this one article I was reading, Billy Corgan, when back, this is back in 94, 95, when the Smashing Pumpkins was just like it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, they're making all this money, just huge, right? And he was saying that label was still coming to them, right? And was just like, well, y'all aren't really that good, and this can be really short lived. So the label's talking exactly opposite,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, of what's really
Right.
going on, trying to keep them, like you said, controlled. And I read this other article one time in 311. They talk about 311, right? And 311 just finished their one of their record deals, right? So they're going out looking everywhere. Every single one of the labels came to 311 with a 360 deal. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? 311. They
Yeah.
make and he said they all were making $1 million a year. This is when
Yeah.
311 was like, on MTV, right after the MTV, and they was, just
After they
that's when
did
they
the
were.
self-titled album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
After they did the
exactly.
311 album.
Yeah, after, yeah. So, they were on MTV, they're popping all that stuff, right? Making literally $1 million a year on the road and everything, merch and all that stuff, right? Every label went to them if it's trying to get, and this is when everything the labels, I mean, in the industry started changing, when a
Right.
lot of more people were
Right.
going independent. They came to every single label. He said they Alpha offering a 360 deal. They were like, yo, they had so much leverage. They were like, we don't need anybody. We don't need you. So they
Right.
end up going to Dave Matthews Band.
You know who else was the exact same way?
Hmm,
And it's good. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the
hmm.
Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I did hear about
They
it. They
was
were
the same
smart.
way. They
Yeah,
were
they were smart.
self-contained, man.
Yep,
They were
yep.
self-contained. They did all their own merch. They took care of all their own touring and booking and all that type of stuff. And they
Yeah,
never went to the record label to get like advances and
nothing.
stuff
Yeah.
because that's how they get you, man. They get you
Hmm.
because you owe them.
You owe them.
And
Yep.
then once you owe them, they never gonna let you stop owing them.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's the crazy thing about it. And come on, man, let's just be honest. Imagine what we could have done if we would have had. Well, I can't do it now because I'm using it on the other thing. But if we would have had them phones in our hands back in the day, man,
Yeah, I know,
imagine what
man.
we could have done with a whole computer in our pocket
Exactly.
in 1994. You know,
That was
1994.
not that did not exist.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was
It
not,
was
what I'm saying. You might have, what, the internet, what, in the early, well, late 1990s, early 2000. You
yeah,
might be able to
early
go to the internet.
2000s, man.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't know
Mm.
about I don't know about people who have money, but for me,
I know, right?
I didn't
I had
have
to go
I
to
didn't
I had to go
have
to
the
college.
internet or nothing like that, man, until I
Yeah,
was a grown man and
yeah,
living on my own, and I might have gotten my first computer, dude, when I was living in Newport News, probably 2001,
man,
2002.
shoot.
Might have had one then. No, I had one when I went out to Arizona, but. eh, Wow, dude. And that's something that a friend of mine asked me back in the day, a while back, because we were talking about touring. They said, "Well, how did y'all tour back in the day if you didn't have like navigation or anything?"
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
maps. Is you
Maps.
crazy? Maps in a payphone. Like, get out of here, man.
We take it
We
right
be
or
on
left.
the we be on
Hand
the
me a
side of
quarter.
the road. Yeah, we be
Hand me a
on
quarter.
the side of the road with a bunch of quarters, dude. Look, that's funny. Speaking of that, that kind of triggered me for this one. So I remember this one time, man. It was myself, Drummy Zeb. I want to say Zebulon's son might have been with us, and Papa Robbie. And we were going to play a show, and dude, I want to say that show was towards West Virginia, somewhere like that. And Zebulon had just gotten this bus, and we begged him not to get this bus, man. You
Uh-oh.
ever beg somebody not to do something, and as soon as they do it, you just like, oh, I can't believe you
Ah.
did this. So he got this bus, man. Now listen to this. Now he got a old school bus. And the thing we kept telling him was, Zebulon, if you get the bus, make sure the bus runs on diesel. Please make sure the bus don't run on unleaded fuel. You just regular
Mm,
unleaded.
mm.
So he gets the bus and he's like, I'm gonna gut it and I'm gonna put these bunks in it and this is gonna be our tour bus. Man, we took that bus one time, one funky time, trying to go to that show near West Virginia somewhere, and that joint broke down.
Mm.
This is in the middle of the wintertime, man. No heat. We standing on the side of the road. Look, man.
Shaking.
Oh, what you talk about, man? I was not, and you know me, I got that thing. So
Yeah,
I'm
oh
on there
yeah,
like,
true,
look, I'm gonna
true.
end up in the hospital. Y'all gonna mess
Yeah,
around.
messing around with y'all. Yep.
Yeah, messing around with y'all. But it was
Dang.
all of that stuff, brother, has led me to be able to be here, about to pack my bags again in 2 weeks and fly off to Australia, to
You
do
you know,
2 weeks of shows over there. It's
see, here's the deal though, man. What confused me about because what confused me about that whole situation was that I didn't know exactly what you're doing. I knew you were flying, but I didn't know you were working for Akon. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I just saw you all, because this is like MySpace time. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
On
right, right,
Facebook.
right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? So,
right, right.
and I'm just seeing you like a picture of you and freaking Saudi Arabia. All these different places. I'm like, what the hell is T doing?
It was
You
it
know what
was
I'm saying?
beautiful, man.
Because like
It
I
still
was
is.
kind of joking about your Arizona number now because there was a time when you switched from that Richmond number to the Arizona number, and so I had to end up catching you. I think through probably MySpace or something like that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah. You know
Facebook.
what, man? I still got that Arizona number. I still haven't switched that
Yeah,
number,
you still
man.
got it. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
still have. I'm not
You
switching
know.
that number. Something gonna have to happen for me to get rid of that number.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
People be
always
like,
keeping my
"Oh, you're in
ATL number. I
Arizona."
don't
I'm
care
like,
where I'm at.
"Yeah, I'm in Arizona.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
yeah,
Enjoy
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Enjoy
Yeah,
that." No,
but see, then you see, I never even knew the story behind like the story you just told of how you got on the road with Akon. Um, but after you kind of put one and one together, to make two,
it was just,
I
yeah,
was like,
it was just
oh yeah,
show and prove, man. It was knowing the right people. It was building relationships. It was,
mm,
honestly showing Rich that I was mature enough to go out on the
yeah,
road. Because come on, man, you know, a passport is a terrible thing, bro. You get that thing take you all over the world. So when he called me the first time, the funny thing is when he called me the first time for like the concrete tour, I went out as a production manager. I was driving one of those 18-foot rider trucks, and we were
okay,
doing that. We were doing that all up and down the East Coast and into Canada. But then the second one I did with him, man, was overseas,
Yeah.
and ever
So
since then.
that's how it works. That's how it works. Like each one, like each, for each part of the tour, that those certain individuals like drive that specific. Is that how it works?
Well, for me, it just it depended on what I came into the tour doing. Like I said, with that concrete tour, I came in as a production manager, so I was
Mm-hmm.
basically, so basically I had the truck, I had all the equipment, and
Mm-hmm.
we were doing like a bunch of side stuff when we would first get there. So I had the truck, I would drive the truck, I would get there, take care of all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then we would just get in the truck right after the show and just drive to the next state
Drive
or
the
next
next joint.
venue,
Yeah.
yeah, or do
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But it when it comes to how that worked, like how I could jump from show to show, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that was Rich calling me because Rich was deeper into it at that time than I was.
Gotcha.
So he
Gotcha.
would be like, "Hey man, I got this show. Can you do it?" I'd be like, "Yeah, of course. I'm gonna come and work with you." And after doing that a few times, Rich was like, "This is my guy." Kind of like we did with you, Zoza. You
Mm-hmm.
ended up becoming our homeboy. I ended up
Mm-hmm.
becoming Rich's guy,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that he knew he could call me, he knew he could depend on me, he knew I'd go out there and do good work.
Yeah.
So when he would climb up to that next rung, he would not leave me behind. He
Yeah.
would
I got
reach
you.
back and he would pull
Mm-hmm.
me up and make sure that, okay, he'd be like, all right, I'm gonna put you on this rung. Let me see if you can survive here.
Handle it. Yeah. Handle
Yeah,
it.
can you
Yeah.
handle this? And
Mm-hmm.
when I would show him that I could handle it, he'd climb up a little bit more and he'd
Yeah.
pull me right on up with him. I'm gonna stick you right here too. And that's
Crabs
what
in the
it was.
barrel the opposite way.
Exactly. Well,
The
crabs in the
right
bucket,
way.
the crabs in the bucket the right way.
The right
Because
way.
when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
top, you should just reach back down and grab
That's it.
everybody and start pulling
Bring
everybody
them
out.
on up. Mm-hmm.
Not
You're
start
right.
pushing them down. What the hell are you doing? That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's how it was, man. I went out with Akon, and I just did the thing, brother. I did what I needed to do to show that guy who was an A-list artist that I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I went from being the bass tech and keyboard tech and doing that stuff to I'm his stage manager now. I handle that thing for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once again I say it's not it's not the thing I've always wanted to do in the sense of how I wanted to be in the music industry because of course everybody wants to be a player, man. Everybody
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But for me to be able to at the end of the day, Zozer say, I've traveled the
Mm-hmm.
world, man.
Yeah.
Several times over, I can say that I've gone around this planet, and wherever I've touched down, thousands of people have had their hands in the air,
Yeah.
have had a good time
Mm-hmm.
because of the work that I and the crew do for that brother. And that's
Yeah.
just it's an amazing feeling for me,
Yeah.
man. And it still gives me the ability to work on the music I want to work on. Uh, I run the dispensary right now. I get to do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of awesome things, man, because
Yeah.
of my love of music. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't I would be wrong, man, to leave any of my people behind. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody, like Will,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Will Miles.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go over to Australia, Will is over there.
Oh, okay.
And Will is gonna be my second on stage. I'm pulling Will
Mm.
into this, you know. Um, because that's how you do it, man. That's
Yeah,
how we
I
take
agree.
care of each other.
Hmm.
That's just what it is.
Each one teach one. Each one
Right,
teach one.
right. This music thing for me, man, wasn't just a love of notes and sound. It was a love of community, and
Yeah.
it was like a village for me. I've
Yeah.
met some of the
I can
best
see that.
people in my life
Hmm.
dealing with music, and I'm never gonna turn on that. That's just
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah,
But
man.
I will also say this, as a little caveat, you know, I've had things happen in music that have hurt me, like to my
Hmm.
core.
Of course.
Um, but the thing you do, bro, is You dust that shit off, you put on your big boy pants, and you keep on
Mhm.
moving. Cause
Mhm.
one monkey don't stop no show, man.
Mhm.
And no matter what it is that we are trying to do, and the funny thing is this brother taught me this phrase, and it's for real. Don't nobody get in that casket with you, man.
Mhm.
Nobody.
Actual
So
fact. Yep.
yeah, so you got to live the life that you are meant to live, and
Mhm.
that's what I try to do, bro. I try to live this life every day. I love being a black rocker, man. I love it too.
Mhm.
It's probably
Mhm.
it's my identity. When
Yeah,
people ask me
I
what I
agree.
make musically, I'm a black rocker at my
Mhm.
core, man. And I get it in, and I get it in for all the
Yeah.
black rockers.
Mhm.
You know, Punk Black. We've had that discussion about Punk Black, man.
Mhm.
I want those brothers and sisters to express that to the universe, man, because
Yeah,
we've
man.
been denied it for so long. Just being able
Mhm.
to be a part of that culture and feel okay with it. Because
Yeah.
come on, man, the biggest thing that we dealt with was being made fun of
Yeah.
because we liked Anthrax, because we liked,
Mhm.
Metallica, or because we liked some punk band that we liked. Oh,
Mhm.
y'all over there listening to that white music.
Yo, that white music.
Oh, come on, man, with that, man. What you mean white music? There's no such thing. We
Yeah,
created all of this music.
that's the truth.
There's no music that comes out of the United States of America that we didn't have our hands in.
Man.
So I don't ever want to hear somebody call some music white music
You
around here.
know, it's a trip, and I think I talked to my man Larry. I think I think we're gonna have a whole episode of this on Elvis, because I just saw that Elvis movie recently, right? And
I, I'm scared to watch that, brother, to be honest
I
with you, man.
well, I watched it, and I'm the type of cat I be fact checking stuff. Like I'll press pause and go, what I'm saying,
Right,
research. Did that
right,
really
right.
happen? You know what I'm saying? That's I'm dead ass.
Man, what that
That's how
dude
I
said,
roll.
man, let me make sure.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see. Were they really friends? Did that really happen? They have pictures. I said, okay, they got the receipts. But it's real interesting to me just watching that, because it's like we hear two sides about the whole Elvis thing. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? We like black folks that hated him and
Hmm.
black folks that loved him. I was
Loved
just
him.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I was just like, I was confused because I never, in all honesty, I never really put much effort into the whole conversation. You know what I'm saying? Until I watched the movie. And what actually reminds me very much like what's the 8 Mile? You know what I mean? As far as Elvis was just in that, he was just around black folks. Let's just keep it real. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I get
And
that.
yeah, and then but going to what you said earlier, that machine, that machine, the music thing took that and just ran with it to
Exactly.
the biggest core, to the biggest thing you could ever imagine. Of course, his
So
manager
watch
too, but
this.
mhm,
I more look at Elvis, and you can laugh at this. I almost look at Elvis the way I look at Jim Carrey,
mhm,
except for Jim Carrey grew up in a time where he was able to actually look back and thank the people who gave
mhm,
him the opportunity, who gave him
mhm,
the inspiration and the
mhm,
platform to do the thing. I think the thing with Elvis, and I could be wrong, man, because
mhm.
I don't know Elvis. I
Me
ain't
neither.
know.
I didn't either. Me
But
neither. That's what I'm
but
saying.
the things that I have heard people
Mhm,
say about Elvis, it almost seemed like, and I do know this to be a fact, there was
mhm,
a time that Elvis was like, I want these people to back me in my band. And his people were like, well, those people are black. So that's out of the question. So is it that Elvis was did he steal? That's hard too. Did he steal from
nah,
us? Did that's and that, blah blah blah. You can only do what you're allowed to do in those
yeah.
situations.
He
And in
imitated it.
the 50s, what
Yeah.
Elvis was not allowed to do was get on stage with a bunch of black dudes behind him.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
was not
Mhm.
gonna fly. And
He
so what do you say?
he was imitating, man. He was literally, that's all he knew. That's
Of
all he
course he
saw,
was.
and he all he did is imitate him. And and I was talking to Larry on this episode before. We just talking about how there's so many bands that are given so much accolade, and of course, everybody got their own opinion and stuff, but so many bands that got so much accolade. Oh, this is the best so and so band,
Right,
and
right, right,
you listen to the music, you be like, what the hell? How is that the
right.
best? Compared to, what I'm saying, but then you realize, going back to the aspect of that regime, the music regime, if
Right, and
they
that's what
own
it
it,
is now, man.
yeah.
It is a regime now, and think about it like this, brother. The
Hmm.
reason, and it's funny because my wife and I were talking about this earlier. So the reason somebody could almost get away with calling themselves a musical genius now is
Hmm.
because you do not have this mass this mass pie to look at and start picking from. Okay.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to go ahead and say, like, let's use Kanye for an example.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry I had to say his name on your podcast, man. That's my fault.
Man.
So Kanye is somebody who will call himself a musical genius. Okay. I'm a musical genius. I'm this, I'm that. Well, of course you're a musical genius when we're only allowed to listen to
Yeah.
seven different artists,
Yeah. Hmm.
because iHeartRadio or Radio One is only going to play these seven artists. Of course, you're the
Hmm.
genius because
Hmm.
you're one of those seven artists. But
Hmm.
if we were to take Kanye and put Kanye beside Premier,
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Well,
you
a whole
say?
bunch, a whole
If
bunch of,
if
a
if
whole
we
bunch
take
of producers.
yeah, if we take Kanye and we put Kanye beside
Shoot,
um Pete
goddamn
Rock,
RZA.
if we put him beside Pete Rock, if we put him
Yeah.
beside the RZA, if we put him beside Prince Paul, come
Hmm.
on, man. What you talking
Yeah.
about? What you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
You a genius. You ain't even been in the game as long as
Yeah. As
these
long as
cats,
them cats. Yep.
and these cats are
Hmm.
still putting out butter music. These cats are still putting out fire.
Yep. Yep. That's true, man.
So watch what you say because that's they man to me that's hubris, that's unreal to
Hmm.
call yourself a genius like that, man, when it's dudes standing off on the wing who you are standing on the shoulders of. He is
Yeah.
standing on the shoulders of Premier. He is standing on the shoulders of Pete Rock. He's standing on the shoulders of Prince Paul because those brothers did not have access to not
Hmm.
only the social media but the
Hmm.
ability to get the bag the way that he does.
And a lot of the everybody you just named, they helped hip hop evolve so much when it came to music, man.
There you go again.
Just through their production. You know what I'm saying? And
DJ
so,
Cool Herc. You really
yeah, yeah,
saying
man.
you really saying that you a genius and you
Yeah,
comparing yourself to Cool Herc?
yeah,
And now
yeah,
we're not even talking about rock music. So I
yeah.
mean,
No, and look, and I'll be talking about this too a lot. Rick Rubin. You know what I'm saying? When he put
come on,
when Rick
man.
Rubin, when he put out I still I say this still all the time. When we heard Sucker MCs, right? We all thought that was the illest beat out there. We listen
Yes,
to it now, we're
yes,
like, goddamn, that's whack as shit.
yes, 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 yes,
Quite whack. But
yes.
back then, as we know growing up, all of that music, man, all of them beats back then, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff was all raw and it was new. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying? You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
You
And then you
say
got the MC. Hmm.
I almost jumped on it, but to me, and I didn't even mention Hank Shocklee and them from the Bomb Squad.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on, man.
Man,
There's
we could
so
go on
many.
forever, man.
We go
Especially
on
if you know hip
forever,
hop, you can go on
right? You
forever
go on
about
forever, and
about
that, and
what I'm
that's
saying.
what that's to me, man. I think that's what is the issue with music right now. For me,
Hmm.
is everything is a corporate entity. So there's no more
Yeah.
local radio stations. There's no more
Hmm.
real local music scenes where clubs are, building up artists and helping artists get out there and things of that nature, because it's this club now that
Hmm.
that's very exclusive, and it's very watered down now, and you don't really have to be that good of a musician, or your artistry doesn't need to be that good. You just have to
Well,
have a loud megaphone.
if you have a contract that
um,
a
um,
contract in which you already know that you for advertising promotion that you can already utilize $4 million. You know what I'm saying? To just put your stuff everywhere. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? That's like
right.
that. That's like that song on the radio you hate, but because you heard it a million times, you're like, all right, well,
Well,
that's
it's
not
not
new to
that
you.
bad
But
now. I mean, because you've heard it
yeah.
for a million times. And
But the good thing is this though, is that people realize this, and a lot of people go on the independent route because my
right.
homeboys, like the Tribal Seeds. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of thrown out because I met them cats. They actually, I think they opened. No, no, they came to Atlanta. This is before they kind of got big, right? And I just watched them grow through the years, right?
Hmm.
Through the years. And I remember talking to Steve, lead singer. I was like, "Yo, you know, I think it was when they went on that that cruise with 311. I was like, "Yeah, y'all up there now."
Right.
But but I asked him, I was just like, what really changed in the structure? He was like, "Nah, it was the same management. They didn't really have no label. They put the
Hmm.
stuff out and stuff. They did all that stuff all by themselves. So you
Yep.
got
That's
people out
right.
there that are winning because they're
Right.
independent."
Right. Come on, man. I mean, let's just be honest. Would you rather have 100%, 100% of a dollar, or would you
Hmm.
rather have a fraction of a percent
Yeah,
on $10?
yeah,
It's
exactly,
like
exactly.
I'll take the 100% of a dollar
Yeah,
because I
hmm,
can turn that dollar over. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I think that's the thing that most musicians are going to end up having to go back to. But then what we're going to have to do is create a collective
Hmm.
of bands who have healthy competition, but don't mind touring with each other and doing shows with each other. Because look, man, it is still competition at the end of the day. It's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
music.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
what
yeah.
can my music make the crowd do? What can your music make the crowd
Exactly.
do? you
Hmm.
know um but the way clubs want to do it now, the way the radio wants to do it now, it does not lend itself to a community. It
Hmm.
lends itself to an exclusive club.
Hmm.
It really does. And
Hmm.
that's why we hear the same bullshit music all the time. Let's just be
Yeah,
honest. We hear the same
yeah,
bullshit music all the time because it's an exclusive club now.
yeah,
When I was growing up, man, it was the record store was the place to go. You know
yeah.
why? Because it was a place that was a social meeting ground. You could
Hmm.
go in there and you could meet different people, but
Hmm.
you could also talk about all this music that was just all around you. You could pick up a record, put it on a record player, listen to it, and be taken somewhere and be like, oh, I like that. I need to get that. And there's
Yeah,
there's none of that anymore. There's no place for these kids to go
yeah.
other than the place where people tell them this is what you should listen to.
Hmm.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
It's like
Maybe in
how
the metaverse they got a
compatible.
place like that. Maybe they got record shops in the metaverse.
Who got a record shop in the metaverse? I'm waiting for that one. Y'all tell me who got a record shop in the metaverse.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'll
I'm gonna
show.
show up there
Oof,
tomorrow and I'm gonna start DJing.
I-
But
yeah.
brother, music for me has been life. It has been love. It has been heartache. It has
Hmm.
been everything, brother. But it has been a constant source of peace for me. My wife
Yeah.
will even tell you, man, when I'm not playing or I'm not touring or something like that, I'm not easy to
Yeah.
deal
Yeah. Yeah.
with. I'm not easy to deal with, man, because I feel
You
like
got the
something's
jitters.
missing. I
You
really do
know,
feel like something's missing.
always, and I still look at this now because I think for me, I look at it personally. Um, the way that the music that I love was weaponized, even till today. Like it's very different. You will hardly ever hear me listen to any what's that movie? What do they call them? Drill music? What it drill? When they talk about murder? And and doing like
You talking
a
about
lot
it
of
like
this music. They
like the
what
hip hop and stuff they do now, like
yeah, yeah,
drill
yeah,
beats
yeah,
and
yeah,
all. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah.
I can't get with
Like
it,
the
man.
music I listen to, man. First off, I mean the I'm gonna tell you something, man. I still one of my favorite all time albums ever. I went down to the walkway of my wedding to the song "The Babylon System"
Mm,
from Bob Marley. That album
yeah,
"Survival."
yeah.
That this past New Year's, I was sitting there listening to the album, and I was crying just because I was listening to that the how Bob was just like, yo, he was just his soul was like, yo, y'all got to get this shit together, man. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's the way I see that music how it needs to affect people. But I listened to this, listen to some of that music today, and it's the most, you know, death, death energy music. You know what I'm saying? I can, it's chaos. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
it for me, and this is that's such a hard conversation to have, man, because
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I get passionate about it, and I don't
Mhm.
ever want it to come off as being hateful.
Mhm.
So what I feel about it is this,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna say this, Zozer, you cannot continue to raise any kids off of you can't keep raising kids off of this dope music, man,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
and gangster shit
Mhm.
without having a counterweight to it,
Yeah.
And when we were growing up, the difference was, uh, and it's kind of funny, man, because if you really think about it, when we were growing up, man, music was in its infancy.
Mhm.
Think about that, man.
Yeah. Hip
So
hop was
by the,
just yeah.
so by the time we are by the time we are boy, by the time I'm graduating from high school, MTV has not been on a decade. Think about that. It hadn't even been on a decade. Um, there were still new genres of music being created.
Yeah.
Hip hop was not even 12 years old,
Mhm.
in the
It
sense
wasn't
of
on commercials yet.
what it was. Right, right. Um, And now there there really is none of that, bro. It's
Mhm.
really, and I know it sounds pessimistic, but that's all gone now. So now what we have to do is figure out a way to keep the music alive
Yeah, it's
and
weaponized,
thriving.
man.
Yeah,
It's
and
weapon.
and,
It's what
and, and
like Professor Griff. He broke it down so many in such great ways, man. Just how they weaponize the music, man. You know what I'm saying?
well,
These
they
different.
weaponized. Watch, they took what NWA was saying. So
Hmm.
here, let's just break this down, and and I hope this doesn't sound too crazy. So they took the one thing that was making everything positive for us. Let's
Hmm.
say, they took the Earth, Wind and Fires, the Marvin
Hmm.
Gaye's. They took
Hmm.
I'll move over to like the hip hop. They took the De La Souls, the Run
Hmm.
DMCs. They took the Tribe Called Quest. They took the Latifahs. They took the Moni Loves. They took the Jungle Brothers. They took the Poor Righteous Teachers. They took all of that stuff and they replaced it with urban plight.
Hmm.
That's what they replaced it with.
Exactly.
They replaced our black hope with
Hmm.
urban plight. And now
Hmm.
that's the only thing that
Hmm.
they will back when
Yep.
it comes
Urban
to the
play. Yep.
corporate entity
Yeah.
that controls music.
Yeah.
They want urban plight. They do
Hmm.
not want, even the sense of shit. Let's just go back to we're all in the same gang. The
Yeah.
thing that West Coast did,
Hmm.
what was the thing that KRS-One and them did? The Stop the Violence
Yep.
movement, self destruction on the
Hmm.
East Coast. If you think about it, man, when all of that stuff is coming about, there's a consciousness that's coming up in brothers and sisters. It's like,
Yep.
yo, yo, yo. And then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
so, and here's something else that I'll say. It was also that led me and kept me deep into the punk scene, in the rock
Yeah.
scene,
Hmm.
because Living Color never changed their
Yep.
message. Public
Yep. They sure did.
run Fishbone never changed their message. The
It got
Brains never
heavier.
changed. It got heavier.
Yep.
And then it got to be more bands. It was 24/7 spas. It was
Hmm.
Follow From Now from
Hmm.
down in Atlanta. God bless them
Hmm.
brothers. You
Hmm.
know, dude, that album.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I listened to that album the other day, and undoubtedly, man, that is the most underrated album of 1991. I think
Yeah.
maybe 91, 92 is when that album came out.
Hmm.
But that Follow for Now album, man, is you
Yeah.
crazy? That thing
Yeah,
is
man.
amazing. The messages they were saying, the
Hmm.
music, it was unreal. Um, and that'll even take you to, I don't know if you know my boys from over in Wales, Benji and them from Skindred.
Yeah, Skindred. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember them. Skunk and
another
Nancy
brother,
and them.
yeah, Skunk and Nancy, skinning them from over in
Yeah,
London. Come
yeah,
on, man. It
yeah,
was for me, dude, the first time I saw Skunk and Nancy when I was watching that movie, oh my gracious, Strange Days. What? I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was
What?
taken back, man. Like, wow, listen to what this girl's saying. And the beautiful
Hmm.
thing about Skin was just rage with
Hmm.
the most beautiful voice I had ever heard
Yeah, I know,
on a
man.
rock singing in
Woof.
my life. It was just amazing. So, bro, and I'm gonna say this. I know we've been on here for like an hour or so. Oh Lord, we've been on here for like an hour and a half, rambling. Brother, the thing I did with you, Zoza, is the thing I'm gonna do until I go to my grave. I'm going to reach back. I'm going to grab the hand of my brothers and my sisters who have that angst, that rage, that ability to just scream it out. And I'm gonna pull them up, man. And I'm gonna
Hmm.
make sure that there's a space for them to get that out because it's us. It's who we are, man. We can't.
Yeah, that it don't go away. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it doesn't,
You know what
man.
I'm
It's
saying?
still in me at age at the age I am right now. I was about to put it out there, Zozer. Um, but for the age I am now, man, it's still inside of me.
Me,
And
me
it's
too.
not and it's not a rage. I think people confuse it. It's not a rage of a hatred for anybody. It's a rage that comes from why can't we just love each other?
Hmm.
Why do we have to be so separated and jacked up all the time outside of our community and within our own community?
Hmm.
You know what I mean by that.
Oh yeah, of
You
course.
know, why can't we really just take the time to go, look, enough with this foolishness, man? You know,
Hmm.
let's
Well,
get it.
one thing, because I'm definitely a glass half full individual,
Yeah,
but I'm
I try to
also,
be at least.
but I'm also very realistic about the adversities that are that are
Well, that's
that are
real,
going
brother.
against us,
Yeah,
that
that's
are going
real.
against us every day, every second. You know what I'm saying? And you have to really truly understand, the big picture of what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And how, like you said earlier, how music itself is such a big thing. So you can take that and use it as a weapon
For
against
good. Oh, a
yeah,
weapon
for the
for
man. Yeah,
good.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
That's
no,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Well, the weapon for good. That's when Bob Marley sitting there, like he said, peeling his fruit and practice, and they come and try to shoot him down,
Right.
or Jim Morrison talking about how they're gonna take over the system, and next thing you know, he dead. Or Janis
He gone.
Joplin,
Right.
or you can go down the list. You know what I'm saying? So you can go down the list. So these people speak out for good, but the regime don't want to try to hear that. So
Well, the regime definitely don't want to hear that, and it's
hmm
it's all
the
the brothers,
regime.
that we listen to, and
Hmm.
some of them have had the pinnacle of success, and some of them never really hit that success.
Hmm.
But the one thing that they all have in common that I will always ride with is a unyielding want for there to be
Hmm.
justice and righteousness.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's what that's
exactly.
what that's what I want, man.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I
That's
want.
nature, man. That's nature. That's that's
Yeah.
that's what's natural. You know what I'm saying? That's what most of us that are aware and conscious of just what life really is about. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
hell with all of this craziness that we see in this world right now. You know what I'm saying? To hell with all that, man. We know that some of us know that it's fabricated because
Yeah,
this
no,
world's fabricated.
it is, bro.
You know what
And,
I'm
and
saying?
and until we truly overstand that, it's gonna be a long haul. But as long as there's brothers like me and you, and we can reach out to the youth and to the brothers and sisters who are still older than us, and do like this, and just pull everybody's hands together, man. If we could get there, man.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
agree.
know I'm gonna keep doing it with that bass in my hand and a hard
And I do it
edge.
with that mic, do it with that mic in my
Yeah,
hand too, because
yeah,
I
exactly.
ain't even, I'm about time to see. I'm about time to stop being off my hiatus. I need to get back on that stage. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? So
no, but watch this. If well, that's gonna happen. We
yeah,
already
it
talked
is.
about that.
Yeah,
That's
we
about to
that
happen.
that's going
So,
down. Goddamn. Y'all stay
brother,
tuned.
yeah, no, y'all stay tuned for real on that one. That's gonna be good. Zozo, I'm gonna be honest with
Mhm.
you, man. Man, you know me. I got actual work in the morning, so I
I'm
gotta I
along
gotta
with
do
you.
something different. Brother,
Just
thank you.
imagine the state tripping. Just remember we did straight tripping that time
Oh
down at
Lord.
Outsiders.
Oh wow. You talking about
Remember that?
when I was like this? You talking about when
Yeah.
I was like this? All right, so look, this is tripping. So for the four people that's in here watching this right now, so watch this. The story he's talking about is were we coming back from a show that we had done, or we were doing something.
Oh,
We
I
ended
ain't
up.
talking about that one. We gonna say that for later. I'm talking
Oh,
about
okay,
no,
okay. I
no,
thought
no.
you were talking about that one.
That's,
I thought you were talking about that one.
that's,
Yeah, we'll
that's
we'll
the
save
next
that story
episode. Yeah,
for
we can
another
say that for later.
time.
I'm talking about when we were rocking out that time outside in the back. Remember when y'all were playing? I came up on stage and took the mic. Remember?
Oh yeah,
That's
come
that
on,
state
man.
tripping. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
That
yeah,
but
yeah.
that
Woo!
is
That other
that's the
story. Yeah, we
beauty,
can't.
man. That's the beauty.
Yeah, exactly.
That thing I did with Dingfield, man, I'm never gonna forget that.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Being
yeah,
on
yeah,
stage rocking with Dingfield like that, I'm never gonna forget that, man.
yeah,
Me and
yeah,
Dingfield
yeah,
tell that story to his daughter to this day.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I
so
bet.
um, brother, we are those juggernauts, and we gonna keep
Hmm.
moving forward.
You gonna do it, man?
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
is, and
Well, yeah, man. That's that. Hey,
what it is, man.
my man T. You know what I'm saying? Again, I appreciate everything that you've done for me. I appreciate the support that you have
Love you,
throughout the
brother.
years.
No,
Yeah, I love you too, man.
that's for
And
real, man.
like we ain't playing, man. Y'all gonna see us in a different light much sooner than later, and we're gonna be
There's a
we're gonna
lot
be
of all I'm gonna say is this. There's a lot of power that's gonna be coming y'all's way
yeah,
real
yeah.
soon.
That's a good way to put it. That's a
Real
good way to
soon. A
put it.
lot of power
Yeah,
that's gonna be coming y'all's way.
and y'all gonna be
Brother,
surprised.
thank you, Zoza, for being part of this musical journey with me, man, because
Hmm.
it it has been just that. It's been a musical journey, brother. I have been blessed. I don't even say that much,
Hmm.
man. You know me, because I'm not that cat.
Hmm.
Um, I have been, but the universe really has blessed me, man, to be able to travel this marble and meet so many different people and have so many beautiful connections. And I did it all doing music, man. I can't
Hmm.
I can't express that enough, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been
yeah.
able to travel this globe doing the thing that I love the most, which is music. And no matter whether I was playing it or whether I was supporting an act, it was the music that made my life peaceful
That's it.
and and gave me that drive to want to be not just a good Anthony, just a good human. I can find in some of the songs that we don't like the most, man. I can find a beautiful message in them.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah,
Music
oh
is
yeah, yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah, it sure is.
It really
But
is, and I'm just gonna say this, brother, and then I'm gonna let you bug out and finish what you got to do. To anybody and everybody who's ever supported me along this musical journey, all I can say is thank you
hmm.
because um, coming from Chester and being able to passport pimp the way I have over the past 12 to 15 years of my life has
Hmm.
been a beautiful thing. And all I can say is for anybody who I've ever called and had to talk to and gave me advice and let me cry on their shoulder and bitch and moan and complain, thank you, thank you,
Hmm.
thank you, thank you, thank you. That's
And
all.
last, and please follow my good brother. Please follow the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. Please share this. You know what I'm saying? Because these conversations need to be talked about, you know, in so many ways when it comes to music and just everything, man, these experiences. So please
And
follow, like, and share.
can I do a selfless plug real quick?
Oh, of course. That's what we're
Um,
here for.
you know me. I am a cannabis connoisseur, so just big up real quick. Um, Guys, that plant is beautiful. Come check me out, the dispensary. Y'all know what it is. Come see my page. Come check out, see what we do. Annie G 804. Come over and just holler at me, man. Let's love each other. Let's do some good stuff. Let's
All
make this
right,
world a
y'all.
better place.
Y'all
I
heard it
appreciate
here. Y'all heard it here. My man T, and like I said, we ain't playing, boy. Y'all, you know, it'll make sense when it makes sense. So y'all be
No, it
good.
will, Zoza. And like I said,
Uh,
brother, as long as there's people like me and you and the people who we call family,
mhm.
it'll be great, man, because that's
Yeah,
love. And I know
yeah,
it's
I
love
agree.
because it's lasted for so long. So, brother, I love
That's
you
true.
and I thank you so much for being
Love you too,
not
brother.
just part of my musical life, but it's just a part of my life, brother. I
Yep,
really do
yep.
appreciate you, man.
All
And
right, man.
that's what it is. Y'all have a
Indeed. Hey,
beautiful
me
night.
too, man.
Thank you very much.
Y'all be good. Like
Let's do
again,
this
I
again,
said.
man. Let's do this
Oh
again.
yeah, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna
But
keep
once
on,
we
man.
bring that power,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Check it out if you haven't already. Polka Dot Rabbit
go get it. Go get
Podcast.com.
it.
Get the book. I talk about this experience, some of the experience we talked about today in a little bit more detail. But go ahead and get it. You know what I'm saying? We're out for the night. We got some nice, really nice guests, some powerful guests coming up next week. I'm gonna have to very excited about that. And thank y'all again. You know what I'm saying? I notice y'all are reaching out to me and talking to me about this stuff. Hey, I'm here. You know, I'm sorry you guys hit me up. We can talk. Besides that, we out of here. Polka Dot Red Podcast. Please follow, like, and share. And we out of here. Peace
Like
and
it,
love.
share it.
All y'all.
Energy
Yeah.
804. That's what it is. Y'all have a beautiful night. Peace.
All right, y'all
Thank
be
y'all.
good. Peace.
Respect.